back to my YouTube channel. A couple things I want to get into before we get into the start of this video. If you have any questions whatsoever about your weight loss journey, about bodybuilding, about fitness, about training, about nutrition, about life, about me, advice on anything at all, drop it in the comments below. Number one, you know I always respond to you guys unless you say something completely out of pocket. Or number two, if you DM me, follow me on Instagram, whatever, I will always respond one way or another, whether it be right away or within a few hours. I always get to every single DM. But most importantly, if you need any help at all with anything whatsoever, drop it in the comments below. I got you. If it's got enough substance, I'll make a YouTube video about it. If you need, I'll respond, of course, or I will answer your DMs if you DM me. I want you guys to know that I'm here to help you, all right? Do hard shit, be confident, do the things that you say you're gonna do. Stop coming up with excuses and stop convincing yourself to go back into your comfort zone. Rather, force yourself to do hard shit because it makes you better. I want to say that at the beginning of every single video from now on because I want you guys to be reminded. If you want to see more of that motivational shit, inspiration, anything like that, you can go to my Instagram. I will be there daily to motivate you and keep you guys pushing. In today's video, I'm going to highlight everything I did to get my client the progress right here that he's seen, increased development in his delt and in his tricep, as well as leaning out and becoming a little bit more muscular in only 4 weeks. And I chose him because I want to highlight realistic progress that you can see within 4 weeks. Because so many of you guys want this whole change of your mentality, your physique. You want to look completely different in 4 weeks when realistically it didn't take you 4 weeks to become overweight, to get into a situation you don't like, to not like your life. A lot of the issues that you're dealing with or trying to get out of have been embedded in you since childhood and have a lot to do with your mentality and the way that you navigate the hardships of life. This is a realistic timeline of progress you can see within 4 weeks. And I'm going to use my client, but you need to be patient, you need to trust the process, and you need to be disciplined, because just as much as you can make progress in 4 weeks, you can also waste your time in 4 weeks if you keep letting your mistakes snowball and snowball and snowball. Next thing you know, the whole month you were off track because you couldn't get a grip. Without further ado, I'm going to shift you over right now to my computer, where we will go over every single thing I did for him so you can implement it for yourself and hopefully see much more progress than you are now. What's up, guys? So we switched over to my computer. I'm going to show you everything that I did and the progress that my client made in just 4 weeks and kind of discuss the things that we implemented so that you can see progress in as little as 4 weeks so long as you're disciplined. Physique photos, I'm pretty sure I already showed you this at the beginning of the video, but right here we can see more muscularity in his delt. Right here, the difference, more toning in the abdomen, just looking overall more muscular, and you can see more definition in his tricep. Really, mainly what I want you to focus on is the development of his arm, right? And this is due to manipulating nutrition, structured training, all the things that we implemented, sleep, water, like the whole 9 yards. We're going to get into everything so you can apply it to yourself and see these kinds of results and then continue so that those results compound and eventually you have your dream physique, right? I guarantee you if you watch the videos on my page, whether it be my How to Build Your Dream Physique, How I Body Recomped My Busiest Client, or any of my videos that discuss the motivational shifts, the mental shifts, all those things that need to happen, you will see results, right? Even if you go just my Instagram and watch my reels, look at my stories, all that stuff, something in there will help you get results, whether you're at the beginning of your fitness journey, whether you're in the middle, whether you're a little bit more seasoned, whatever it may be. There is something that you can use anywhere in my content, somewhere, that will help you one way or another. Let's start at the very beginning here. Client came to me looking to transform physique by X deadline. Now, this client specifically came to me because he wants to have a certain physique by January, right? Lean toned, right? Doesn't want to be like a bodybuilder or anything, but wants to have a lean toned muscular physique by January, early 2025, right? So that was what we did. First, we have to establish the goal and be as specific as we can so that the plan can be as detailed as possible, right? After that, we got into habits, good and bad. So this is where we addressed his good and bad habits. Now, if you're familiar with my How to Build Your Dream Physique video, you know that we have the 4-step method I apply to all my clients called the sailboat method. Both of us don't do our part. It's not going to happen, right? So SAIL, set habits, accelerate fat loss, increase muscularity, and then work on longevity. Longevity phase is basically just keeping it, right? Now, essentially, since he's only 4 weeks in, and I'm trying to highlight the progress you can make in 4 weeks, we're still in the accelerating fat loss phase. But I do want to go over all his habits and stuff like that and show you how if you're at the beginning, you can implement this for yourself, right? So first of all, his good habits were, he was already a pretty active guy, right? He just didn't know what to do. He had the discipline, he had the consistency, he had the drive. He already lived an active lifestyle. His job was very active and he, does sports, plays pickleball, does all these things where he has a very high energy expenditure on his daily average, right? So that was a good habit. That is really good. Like, it wasn't like he was sedentary, right? His bad habits were just a lack of direction. He didn't know where to go, right? He didn't know what to do. So therefore, he was inefficiently spending his time trying to reach this goal, right? He had all this energy, but didn't know where to direct it. So he was, in a sense, going like 100 miles an hour nowhere. Whereas what we really needed to do was implement structure, a little bit of accountability, right? As much as people are disciplined when they come to me, sometimes they still need that accountability because they can't always be as disciplined as possible. They're humans, right? So after we did that, let's get into the implementation. Now, after we did the initial onboarding call with him where we discussed habits and all that stuff, and I'm always very, very honest. That's one thing that I will be very honest with you. I may come off as harsh, but I mean it with the most love, right? We talked about, the reasons why he was stuck and the things that he did, in my opinion, and, truthfully, what I thought kept him stuck where he is and what he needed to implement. And so we talked about what we were going to implement to get him to his ideal outcome within the next 90 days. And that looked like coming up with a structured nutrition plan that he liked, right? So of course I sent him a form to fill out food preferences so I knew what he liked, right? Then we implemented a nutrition plan that was structured based on his training days, his rest days, and his schedule, because not only is he such a hard worker, but he's also one of my busiest clients, right? Working 12 to 16-hour days. This guy does not have a lot of free time. So we didn't have much leeway to work with, right? So implementation was a bit of a struggle. So we implemented a structured nutrition plan, a structured training plan, as well as cardio, and then other like daily habits like water, sleep, and meals and all that stuff into his daily routine as well. Now, the thing with implementation is we have two results that can happen from implementation, right? So that leads us to the question here. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll. Oh, there we go. So this leads us to the question here. Was my man consistent? Was he consistent? Okay, let's be honest with that. Now, if he was consistent, perfect, we move forward. But most of y'all and a lot of people I coach are not, right? The first couple of weeks are hard because not only are you tackling this new goal that you have, but you have to implement sleep, water, nutrition, training. It's a lot of things coming at you at once, right? So the main thing at the beginning of all these people's journeys here is getting those habits in check, right? As time goes on, you'll get better and better at navigating. Okay, you know what you need to do. You know what you're eating today. You know what you're training today. But at the very beginning, when it's all brand new and you're not in a routine yet, this is really where we have to figure out the consistency part, right? So was he consistent? Yes. Okay, move on to the next step. No, which he wasn't because he has a really busy schedule. We had a lot of kinks to work out before we could actually get progress to start coming and we could actually get things to start working, right? So was he consistent? We'll say no, right? So that if you guys are not consistent, you can apply this to yourself. So we go back to the drawing board. What are you not liking? What are the obstacles? Okay, you're short on time. Okay, let's optimize your workout and make it a little bit more efficient so you're not in the gym for hours on end, right? Okay, well, let me manipulate your nutrition a little bit more so you can do a little bit less cardio. Let's play around with your nutrition as efficient as possible to fit your schedule. Oh, okay, you're not really liking this in your certain meal. Okay, I'll make adjustments for you. We can figure out another way to go about that so that you're as successful as you can be, right? That was really all it was about. So that's what you work out in the first couple of weeks is those kinks. And another thing that I want to highlight while we're here before I get off on a tangent is what you guys don't realize is at the beginning of your fitness journey, progress is the last thing that should be on your mind, right? The progress comes once you've worked out all the kinks, right? How do I do everything I can to keep myself on track? Because if you sit there and you make yourself suffer instead of facing the problems like, okay, I went off track today, what caused me to go off track? Why did I go off track? Okay, let me make those adjustments. Realistically, you're just like, oh, I messed up today. Okay, I'll try again tomorrow. I messed up today. I'll try again tomorrow. And then you're frustrated that you never see results, but it's because you're not making little changes to help yourself, right? So after we go to the drawing board, what are you not liking? What are the obstacles? Okay, time. All right, let's find a way to optimize and make it more efficient. Okay, I'm struggling with meal planning. Okay, well, are you someone who needs variety? If you need variety, I can write you up a couple meal plans. That way, when you wake up and you decide that you want oats, okay, you have this. Or you wake up, you want bacon and eggs, you have this meal plan. You get options, right? Oh, you're someone who has short time. Okay, so you're going to meal prep in batches. Okay, so you're going to eat the same thing every day to save you the headache of thinking, oh, how am I going to hit my protein goals? No questions asked because you eat the same thing every day. So it's one less thing that you have to think about, right? This is where having those different options comes in, right? Or if you're someone who needs variety to be able to stick to your plan, then I recommend the multiple meal plans, right? You have a different day set up where you can wake up and choose which one you want. Or if you're someone who doesn't want to think about it, doesn't have that extra brain capacity because you're busy with your 9 to 5, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, and you need like structure so that you don't have to think, what am I going to have tomorrow? It's your routine. Then I will set a meal plan with the same thing every single day so you can batch prep, save yourself time, and then boom, you don't have to think about it. So it's one less thing that you have to worry about in your fitness journey. And when I tell you there's a lot of things that you have to figure out at the beginning, this is helpful, right? So it really depends on what kind of person you are. And this is what we're figuring out in this stage. And the longer it takes you to figure it out or us to figure this out, the prolonged the progress will be. So after we discuss the obstacles and what's kind of making him not be consistent, we have to discuss, is this a lack of discipline or do real changes need to be made? Are you just not locking in and you're being kind of lazy and you need someone to tell you the hard facts? Or is it realistic, like your schedule's not allowing you to get enough sleep because you're training too much or because you're doing this, you got too much going on or whatever, or you realistically, like, this diet isn't working. We have to discuss, is this an issue with locking in and being disciplined, or do we need to just be a little bit more disciplined with ourselves, or are these real issues, right? And that is usually something that you have to discuss on a, like, you'd have to have a conversation about and kind of figure out where each other is standing. But nonetheless, both of these can be tackled, right? Sometimes the call turns into me needing to encourage them to be like, hey, it's going to be hard. It's not easy to transform your physique, and it's something that is difficult, right? It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Or it'd be like, okay, well then we'll make adjustments to fit your schedule better. We'll make adjustments to fit your dietary needs better, whatever it is, right? So either way, this will lead to a solution one way or another, right? So that leads me into right here. Make changes or have a real talk about getting shit done. Whichever one I got to do. Either one. And then after that, we go back to implementation, and it leads us back to, was he consistent? Generally, after going through this process, maybe 1 to 2 times, they tend to be consistent, right? Especially if we have a talk about getting real shit done. So after, was he consistent? Yes. Then we monitor progress weekly and make adjustments per check-in cues from him. Now, this is on a me coaching him basis. If this is just a you thing, keep track of your progress on a week-to-week. Take measurements, take physique photos, take your weight. Look at how you're looking, right? It's not going to seem like you're making progress when you check yourself weekly, but when you compare week 1 to week 4, week 6, week 8, whatever, you will see progress. So even if you don't think you're going to see progress, or even if it's monotonous to take these weigh-ins every week and pictures and all that stuff, I recommend that you do it so you can really see if it's working, because if you don't, you won't truly know how much you're growing, and then you might give up because you're frustrated, right? Not everyone at the beginning of your fitness journey, you don't necessarily have the mental fortitude to keep pushing through and to not mess up it probably as much as you want to. So it's important to have these little things implemented so you can truly see if you're making progress and give yourself little wins to keep track of, feel confident, and be proud of yourself, right? So after we monitor progress weekly, make adjustments for check-in and cues from him. What that looked like for us was our weekly check-ins, right? I monitored weight. Like I said, I see these photos, so I make sure that I see that he's growing, right? If I'm seeing stagnation, if I'm seeing a lack of progress, if I'm seeing a decline, immediately call is booked and we're figuring out what's going on. Okay, you're not getting a lot of sleep. That's one thing that we really struggled with him is time. We have to make sure that his workouts were efficient, his meal plans were easy for him to prepare, nothing too complicated, not too much extra thinking, because he already works a lot and he is already short on sleep, right? So making sure that he had certain things implemented to help with his stress levels, because he had a lot of work. Like, he would work 12 to 16-hour days, didn't sleep much, had to meal prep. He wants this goal, right? So we had to work a lot on making sure that his stress levels were low, he was hitting his water, and he was getting enough sleep so that he could perform well in the gym, so that his workouts were efficient. Okay, and it ended up saving him time, and he saw results a lot faster because of these things, right? So, and then of course, another thing about him that I want to highlight is he's very communicative, right? Something goes wrong, he's quick to tell me. He's like, hey, I don't have enough time to do this today. What should I do? Okay, well, increase your intensity for these 4 exercises, and then leave everything you got and then do some cardio, or, whatever it may be. When a problem arose, he was quick to text me, right? And that is one thing that you have to be, when you want your goals, you have to communicate with me, right? And same thing, like if it's with yourself, if you know that you're going to hit an issue or you have a time crunch on a certain day, plan ahead, right? Failure to plan is planning to fail. So even if you're doing this by yourself and you don't have a coach and you're doing it on your own, if you know that you're in a time crunch, you're going to have to be able to pivot when things get hard. Don't just give up, right? You got to lose the all or nothing mentality, because he could have easily been like, oh, I have work, I'm just not going to go. But he was like, I have work, I'll only have about 45 minutes to train. What should I do? So I created a new plan for that day with very high intensity so that he could still get something in, even if it was something, right? Something is better than nothing. You know that you're going to have something coming up, or you're going to know that you're going to have a time constraint, or you know that there's something that's going to be off plan or off schedule, still make the effort to make adjustments and all that stuff so you can stay relatively close to being on track, right? It does not have to be perfect. You just need to be consistent, okay? I'm trying to talk fast. Sorry, I do apologize that this is fast. I just want this video to be relatively efficient when conveying this information to you guys, so you don't have to sit through an extra long video for no freaking reason, right? I want you guys to be able to watch this and get the information quickly and move on with your day and implement it so you can see this freaking progress yourself, all right? So after we do that, execution. Now this is solely client success, right? I cannot execute it for them. I can't, go over there and do it for them. The execution part is solely their own win, right? I had nothing to do with that. All I did was encourage and supported them, right? Support. There needs to be a T there. I'll edit that later. Oh, there. So that was solely him, right? I told him what to do and he executed. And that is something that I can't take any credit for with that. He was disciplined, working all the freaking time. He has this goal and he never freaking doesn't show up. He never ever skips. He always does what he can, even if it's not a lot. And so many people would skip, and that's not something that many people would even make the effort to do, right? So if you're thinking about why you're not making progress, maybe look at all the times that you skipped, when in reality you could have gotten a 30-minute workout in, right? But you thought, oh, I won't have my full 2 hours, let me just skip, right? Go back and look at all your habits and see realistically already from the video what you could implement to just give you a little bit more of an edge and see a little bit more progress, right? So yeah, next, after we make those adjustments, It was all on him to execute, which he did, which is why he ended up seeing those results, right? It was all in his execution, and that is something that all I can really do is encourage and support. And sometimes when you have no one in your corner, which a lot of the times you won't have anyone cheering you on, you need to be able to do that for yourself, okay? And it takes time. You will learn. Back to these, why is it so zoomed in? Let's go back to his picture here. So just to reiterate everything that we just discussed, go over all the stuff that you can implement into your training or whatever so you can see these results. First thing we did was address the habits, right? What is keeping you stuck and what's propelling you forward? Deconstruct what's keeping you stuck. Figure out the reason behind why you do what you do that's keeping you stuck. Usually it's a mental thing, an emotional thing, something that you're having trouble navigating mentally with your feelings or something in that nature. Or it can be a lack of direction, a lack of knowledge. You just simply don't know what to do. You may want it, but you don't know where to move. You got to figure out what it is. Then figure out your good things. What do? You do that could be beneficial to your fitness journey. So you're really, really determined once you figure out a plan, or you're consistent, or you have drive, or you want it, or you're very dedicated, whatever it may be. After that, if you have fat to lose, now skinny fat or overweight, obese, whatever, if you have fat to lose, you will need to be in a calorie deficit. You can easily Google TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. Enter in what it says on the website. If you have your body fat percentage, that'll be a lot more beneficial. It will give you a range of what your caloric maintenance is, okay? Depending on how overweight you are, you can see how much of a deficit you want to put yourself in. I would never recommend putting yourself in a steeper deficit than 500 calories. That is very hard to maintain. It's not very sustainable, and you're going to be tired, you're going to be lethargic, and it's going to be hard for you to keep up, and you won't be able to go as hard in the gym the steeper your deficit is. And the steeper your deficit is, the more muscle mass you will eat away at, right? So I recommend a more moderate deficit, maybe 200 to 300 calories, 400 if you're a little bit on the higher side of being overweight. It's really up to you. And then another thing to remember at the beginning of this journey is that your TDEE is a range. Okay, so at the beginning, when you're implementing all these things and all these changes, you will have to work out kinks and play around with things. So don't let the lack of progress make you think that it doesn't work. Just know that things may need to be tweaked, right? It's about as much information I can give you without knowing specific details to you, but I want you to be able to implement this. So when you go on that website, figure out what your deficit is, implement it, see if you're making changes, keep track of every single thing. If not, go back to the drawing board and play around with your macros, okay? You will eventually find something that will work, I promise you, right? A caloric deficit will make you lose weight one way or another. Just mess around with it and you will figure stuff out, okay? After that, we implemented cardio and training. Depending on how much weight you want to lose and what you're doing with your nutrition will dictate how much cardio you need to implement. You can do that by implementing cardio post-training. You can do it when you wake up. You can do whatever form of cardio you enjoy as well. Or you can even implement a daily step count. Really, it depends on how much time you have. This is all dependent on you, but those are some ideas that you can implement, right? You implement those things, I guarantee that you will see results. After that, it gets a little more complicated depending on where you want to go into. If you want to go into a growing phase, if you want to continue to lose, whatever that may be. If you have questions about that or need help, drop it in the comments below and I can make a video about it. If there's anything that I didn't address in this video that you need help with, please let me know. Comment down below. But yeah, if you want to work with me one-to-one, the application is in my Instagram bio. You can DM me, comment, or whatever if you have any questions. I know I've said that probably a million times, but I do want to encourage you guys to reach out if you need anything because I love helping you guys and, I'm here for y'all. That pretty much wraps up the video. I love you guys so freaking much, and I will see you in the next one.